Okay, so a lot of times one of the most difficult parts of the research process is finding a good research idea. Of course, it's nice if you're interested in a particular topic, have a lot of background in an area, and want to pursue something then in that area. But sometimes it's not quite that simple. So what I'm going to show you today is just a few different resources you can use to look at what kind of research other people are doing. And the general idea here is that if you search using some very broad terms that represent your interest, you might see some work others are doing that will stimulate ideas for your own paper. Well, the first place we're going to look is at research, at dissertations that have been recently published in political science. We have a nice little resource here at UWM through the library. So if you're on the UWM webpage, you just need to go here to Libraries, Resources, A through Z, D for dissertations, and here we want to use dissertations and theses from ProQuest. I want to go to the advanced search, so we have some options. This is the advanced search page. Looking at dissertations and theses. I'm going to click this box here, just so we get only doctoral dissertations. Now, we want to narrow our search to political science. So in this open box here, I'm going to type political science. And I'm going to search here in not all fields, but in degree. You know what? Let's make that department. I suppose you get about the same thing with degree. And I'm interested in elections, so I'm going to look for dissertations that have the term elections or voting. Now, not just anywhere in the dissertation, but I want to look specifically at the abstracts. So we go over here and click abstract. Now we're going to search for political science dissertations that have elections and voting mentioned in the abstracts. I'm just going to limit this to the last 5 years. Nothing against the previous decades of research, but I don't want to get a terribly long list here. I click search and we'll see what we get. All right, now here is a list of dissertations that meet the search criteria. Here we have the titles of the dissertations highlighted. You can get the actual dissertation itself. You can look at the full dissertation if you like. What I recommend doing though is looking at the citation or abstract to get a sense of what the dissertation, what topics were being addressed by the dissertation. Let's start here. We have a dissertation by, looks like Vanessa Bush from Ohio State University, a recently completed dissertation. The title is Identity and the Mechanisms of Political Engagement. Click on Citation and Abstract, and we get exactly that. A fairly long description of what the dissertation is about. Skimming through here, we can start to get a sense of what identity politics refers to, race, gender, religion. We begin to get the sense that we're looking at how these things are tied to political engagement, which appears to be, looking at the description here, political engagement appears to be focused on involvement in politics, involvement and interest in politics. And we can get a sense down here of the methodology that was used. A unique survey of 400 Americans. And we can see in this paragraph what sort of questions were asked in the survey. Go back to the first page of findings, and you see a lot of other interesting topics here. Here again, we have voter participation. This is interesting. Climate, Weather, and Political Behavior by Alexander Cohen, the University of Iowa, my alma mater, dissertation advisor, is actually on this committee. Let's take a look and see what this is about. And again, here we see the abstract describing in some detail what the dissertation is focusing on, and also providing some sense of the methodology that's used and the types of data that were used. What I suggest you do is take a look through this resource, entering whatever search terms you like that might describe things that you're interested in, and see what kind of topics people are currently writing about, and see if you get some ideas for your own research. Okay, again, looking through here, we see more research on political involvement. Here we have political involvement again. Identity politics, focus on ideological identity. Study of U.S., German, and Polish politics. Participation again among Arab Americans this time. Quite a variety of types of dissertations, all focusing on some form of voting and elections. Now, just to give you a sense of how you might change this without going back to the menu, you can simply go up here to this window and substitute other terms if you're interested. Let's say, for instance, that you're interested in, let's say, legislatures and or Congress. Hit enter. Now we have a new set of dissertation abstracts reflecting those search terms. And again, you could look through here, look at the titles, and get a sense of what the dissertations are about. The idea here is that these may be useful in stimulating you to move forward with a topic that interests you. And of course, we don't have to focus just on dissertations. We can look at recent publications in political science. Again, using the UWM Library page, go to Resources A to Z. There are a number of different resources available here. One that some of you may be familiar with under J would be JSTOR. One that I like to use, however, it's found under W, and that is Worldwide Political Science Abstracts. So go down here to the W's, and here we are, Worldwide Political Science Abstracts. This is hosted by ProQuest, which also hosted the dissertation searches. Again, we'll go to the Advanced Search option. And here we will use these boxes to search for different fields. Now, this is already restricted to political science journals or journals that are specifically germane to political science. So we don't have to type in political science as we did with dissertations. Instead, we'll type in, again, looking for something under voting and elections. I'll type in elections. And over here, we want to restrict this, at least I'd like to restrict things to the abstracts. And we'll say we're also looking for voting. But we don't want to say elections and voting. We will take either elections or voting. And again, we'll restrict this to abstracts. I'm primarily interested in scholarly journals, so I'll check that. I'll check books as well, just to see what we get. Restrict dates. Let's say we'll go to restrict any month, any day, and we'll look in the last 10 years. And now click search. As you see, there are about 16,000 results here. Obviously, we don't want to look at all of them. But let's take a look here. End up with. Well, as you can see, we have a number of different articles about elections in a number of different countries. Here's one about political accountability, published in the Journal of Theoretical Elections, or Theoretical Politics, I should say. Here's one about democratization in the Middle East. Here's one about Dutch political beliefs and party loyalty, Italian politics, British politics. Here's one about political consumerism in the United States. So you might want to narrow this down even more. For instance, I'm primarily interested in elections in the United States. So what I'm going to do is modify the search. And what I'm going to do is add here, after elections or voting, I'm going to add and United States, and I'm going to look for this in subject headings. Now hopefully this will restrict the search more narrowly to articles about elections and voting in the United States. And indeed, that's what we see. The first article is about constituent influence on international trade policy in the United States. Not about the type of voting I'm interested in, which is individuals voting. Here we have voting on the Supreme Court, not quite what I'm looking for. Here we have an article about fair representation in House and elections in the Electoral College. That's more along the lines of what I'm looking for. Comparative analysis of redistricting institutions in the United States. Okay, so you can see that these articles are more narrowly focused on the United States, although there are still a few in here about elections from other countries as well. Now, the idea here is that you would see an article with a title that seems interesting to you, seems like something related to what you're interested in studying. For instance, a recent important topic in the study of U.S. elections is income inequality. So we might click on this article, Income Inequality and Partisan Voting in the United States. And we'd look first at the citation or abstract. And here we have a fairly brief description of the article that tells us what sort of thesis is being tested by these authors. Gives us a sense of the sort of data they're looking for, trends from the 1940s through the 2000s, and a very brief synopsis of what the conclusions are. Oops. That's not what I want. I want to go back to results. Okay. All right, so this is just a very brief demonstration of how you might go about looking for articles related to the topics that interest you. And again, what I suggest you do is just sort of start thumbing through some of these articles, looking for topics that really strike you as interesting, and looking for ideas for your own research papers. I also suggest you take a closer look at what is actually done in some of these articles as well. It'll give you a sense of how a professional empirical research paper is written.